Along the crossroads of East and West, and amongst the mightiest of cultures, the island of Cyprus has continued since the dawn of civilization to prosper and create. Cypriots cultivated their land, carved and chiseled rocks, stones, marble, extracted, smelted, and gave forms to art, to precious copper, to gold and silver. They accepted and absorbed valuable exchanges and transactions brought to them by sea from countries near and far. The island continued to create relentlessly and to build bridges and links between great civilizations. Cyprus culture has existed for millennia and has left indelible footprints deeply engraved in the world's cultural map. The island's civilization was studied and assessed by the world's best scientists and has rightfully earned its position as the core of Mediterranean culture, the cradle of world civilization. Culture is a fundamental human right, a safeguard of human existence and a necessary connection with the past so as to ensure the correct route to the future. It is an expression of society and an essential tool of education. Culture is one of the most precious human rights. It expresses and praises mankind and its deeds, and is found deeply rooted everywhere, within the soil, on rock or stone, on clay, canvas or paper. Culture is and will always be one of the most important dimensions of human life.
Heritage is identified, and this should, in principle, protect him from attacks.
But how does one protect this resource? How does one preserve its integrity and coherence? Who bears the responsibility for its safeguarding and preservation?
Whenever there is a war, it's actually women's bodies that are attacked, and the body of a woman is the battlefield. So that's the first target. The second one is the cultural heritage, the libraries, the churches, the holy places. And the third part is the name. To change the names is to change the identity, basically. So this is taking place everywhere in the world where there is a conflict or a war. Cyprus is not an exception.
Very often conflicts are completely, there's lack of respect, and sometimes even heritage is in the middle of conflict, and it is deliberately destroyed. So conflict is always difficult and problematic, and we can only try and hope. And we try with, of course, with international legal tools. We try with our own action, and then we try to push people to respect cultural heritage when there is a conflict. Whether we are successful or not, it depends very often on the nature of the conflict and the circumstances sometimes. Sometimes we've been successful, sometimes we have not been successful. You all remember the destruction of the Mostar Bridge. That was clearly not a success. The destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas in Afghanistan, clearly not a success. But sometimes we're able to at least contain or limit the damages that can happen.
But today, to see this devastation and the dismantling of the old churches and the old European history is, to me, shocking. It's so upsetting, and my heart is full of sorrow. I had to leave a few moments ago. I couldn't see this. It breaks my heart to see that places that people have considered holy are dismantled and vandalized in such an awful way. I mean, it doesn't matter what we do today if the solution of the conflict isn't solved first.
Our tools are international legal tools. They're right. I mean, that's UNESCO does not have troops to send. I mean, so we cannot intervene physically when there is a conflict to try to stop it. We have, though, international law on our side. There is a very important international treaty called the Hague Convention, which is was issued in 1954, and it today has about 115, 120 member states. So a lot of states have signed it, which somehow calls for cooperation, prevention, and cooperation during conflict.
I was in the UNESCO board for many years. And of course we could address the problems, we could restore some of the buildings, but if people are still using them over again as barns for their animals, as storage places, if people are vandalizing them, we need protection, first of all.
In the case of northern part of Cyprus, as you know, we have very difficulty in intervening directly because the UN cannot even step in the place. This is a UN resolution 83, 84 now that really gives us very little margins of maneuvering and of intervention. So we can only appeal to Turkey and whatever entities is there, to respect, because these are things that they belong to international civil society. I mean, they have to respect it.
For more than 35 years now, since the Turkish army invaded the territories of the Republic of Cyprus in 1974, Cypriots are deprived of their fundamental right to their culture and civilization.
Evet, harikasın çocuklar. Bugün her şey, Vizyon Belediyesi'nin size armağanıdır bu performans. Bu akşam 11'e kadar buradayız. Evet, adamımızın en büyük belediyesi yaparsa böyle yapar.
Looting and destruction of Christian monuments, illegal exportation of works of art, illegal excavations within sites belonging to the Department of Antiquities of the Republic. Adding to all these insults against world civilization is the illegal demographic alteration of the Cyprus Republic, considered a crime against humanity, a process that continues daily in the occupied parts of Cyprus as settlers are brought over from Turkey. Greek Cypriots need to show passports in their own country when they want to visit their villages, homes and neighbourhoods. Pay entrance fees to visit sites, monuments and churches that belong to them and their ancestors. The original Greek names of the villages of Cyprus are printed on maps dating to the Middle Ages. They're to be found in Portolan charts and Isilaria. And yet Turkish names were given to villages, to roads, to place names, to monuments. Cypriot traditions, cultural richness, all perish under the boot of the Turkish soldiers. World-famous archaeological sites like Engomi, Salamis, Soli, and Vuni, temples, theatres, palaces, and entire cities, a living proof of our ancestors' presence and creation, are today under Turkish military occupation, with irreversible consequences both for their existence and their physical survival. Museums were looted, private collections sold abroad. International conventions govern archaeological excavations carried out in areas under military occupation. However, these conventions are repeatedly violated. And illegal excavations continue to take place in areas that, within the exclusive competence and jurisdiction of the legal state, such as Salamis, Engomi, and Soli, findings illegally exported, disrupting in this manner the continuity of our civilization. And all this is done without any conviction or any serious consequences for Turkey. Precious samples of Cypriot culture were found in Western markets and in the United States. Treasures of Cypriot antiquity, priceless Byzantine icons, mosaics, manuscripts, paintings, books, all sold while the entire civilized world watched with indifference the huge theft and fraud that was and is still being carried out against a culture and a civilization. "575 Christian monasteries, churches and chapels are held under hostage by the Turkish army that continues to occupy the northern part of Cyprus. Most in terrible condition. Some turn to warehouses or junkyards or restaurants, all unprotected, uncared, empty of the valuable and cherished contents, all left wide open to the northerly winds and rain. Christian churches are not allowed to perform religious ceremonies in the occupied territories. Only once or twice a year does the army allow a celebration of the Divine Liturgy. And when this rarely happens, difficulties arise within the occupation regime. People are not allowed to pray in their churches. People cannot exercise this basic human right. Since 1974, 19 churches and chapels dating from the 15th to the 19th centuries have been completely destroyed, eradicated from the cultural maps. 10 in the province of Kyrenia and 9 in the province of Famagusta. 100 churches are in a terrible state and are in imminent danger of collapsing. 85 churches were turned into mosques. 8 in the Nicosia region, 23 in Kyrenia, 43 in Famagusta, and 11 in the region of Morphu. And yet, the government of Cyprus has restored a very important holy place for the Muslims, Hala Sultan Tekke. Whereas it takes particular care and restores Ottoman monuments and places of worship. A Gothic church in Nicosia, St. Mary of the Augustines, that was transformed to a mosque in 1570 and belongs to the Antiquities Department of the Republic of Cyprus, was offered to the Muslim population of Nicosia for their religious needs. Since 1974, numerous mosques have been built in the occupied part of Cyprus, altering in this way not only the character, but also the history of this island, the last stronghold of Christianity. For over 35 years now, the legitimate government of the Republic of Cyprus calls for help and sympathy from the civilized world to save all these monuments.
See, for us, heritage is not political. It's for the others. So, because for us, of course, heritage is an expression of culture, an expression of human society, human history, and so on. So for us, it's normal to see heritage as a common.
In the 21st century, an ancient civilization is threatened by an illegal military regime that continues to occupy a country member of the European Union. Rescuing these monuments should be the duty of all.